All right, for this European tournament, we actually have 2 Europeans in the grand finals. Normally we see Koreans coming around here and there, alive, keen, you name it, but sticking true to the Corsair Cup best we can. In the bottom left, playing for Germany, he's the blue Protoss. Almost didn't even show up today. It's ShoWTimE.
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, he is a Nerchio.
Of course, get that Polish pride. Playing for Yonex Gaming. Get the Red Bull sponsorship. Generally speaking, Nerchio is probably the more accomplished player of the two. But maybe it's the matchup. Maybe it's the balance. I think ShoWTimE's probably the better player of the two right now.
I think so. I think, yeah, there's a lot of factors in that, but going up head-to-head against each other, I think that ShoWTimE would win. Maybe you give different opponents and, match up against each other, and I think it's very different. But head-to-head, no, I think ShoWTimE's got this. Nerchio hopefully doesn't let his vibes about the matchup affect him too much in this first game, but I have a feeling that if he loses the first game, it's kind of just a tumble downhill from there, and that's why I attribute the 3-0. Not because I think Nerchio is just totally outmatched, but again, a lot of the factors, mental, physical, balance, whatever.
Well, I mean, it also just goes into what we've seen recently too. Like, a player can be whatever state of mind, but still be good at a matchup versus bad at a matchup. And I think just that Nerchio's versus Protoss, whether it is truly David Kim's fault or otherwise, has been a bit rough. But it is worth noting this will be, I think, the first time we're seeing Nerchio play with the new Hydras and the new Corruptors. So maybe it won't be a problem. ShoWTimE is somebody who has, like, for example, players like Hearthstone almost never go Golden Armada styles, right? But players like ShoWTimE actually have and can, and he'll do anything from DTs to Tempest and Carriers, so it's kind of scary. He's got this whole plethora of builds, but all things considered, maybe those buffs were just enough. Maybe Nerchio not sweating the matchup as much as he was like 2 weeks ago.
Maybe. You asked Hearthstone what he thought about it, and Hearthstone said it didn't seem to attribute much, and some of that, maybe had to do with the fact that he wasn't a carrier guy in the first place. That's where you would see the Hydra busts most commonly. But I don't think I've seen any other feedback, last week.
I'm a carrier guy because I'm always carrying the cast.
Ha! It's
funny because we know that it's you who does the heavy lifting.
No, it's 50-50.
Oh my gosh, is this what equality is like?
Oh my god. Anyways, but I still feel like it people are gonna try and abuse the patch changes no matter what, and there's someone out there on ladder who is making these Hydra busts instead of the Roach Raptor busts, and it might work, it might not. There might be a reason they're only on ladder and not pro games, right? But I think give it a couple of weeks, maybe we'll see the Hydras that tend to be used even more. But it might just be such a useless buff. It doesn't even matter. Don't even matter.
I wonder actually. It may not actually be a factor in things. You consider this Dark Shrine move, whether it's with DTs or straight to Archons, this was not something that hinged on having Hydralisks out to stop it, right? You could do that with Lings and Roaches as long as you're on top of it ahead of time. So it really is that question of, like, we're talking 3 bases, we're talking 12 to 15 minutes in the game. We're not talking about this early game stuff, because I don't think any of the early game stuff at all has been affected by the most recent patch. And that is where Nerchio has lost some of his games.
Well, as far as obnoxious early game harassment goes, I'd actually put the DT build on the lower scale of things here, the lower tier of things. There we go. As it's mostly been figured out, you build a handful of roaches, you try and split them up in 2 bases so the Archons can't catch you by surprise, and that usually does it. And sure, a good Protoss player might kill 2 roaches or a queen or even get 1 good blast on a bunch of drones. It shouldn't be much more. The Adept opener, sometimes they last way too long, even though they don't do any damage. Sometimes they just straight up do too much damage. It's very annoying. Stargate openers can lead to, like, Phoenix abuse, which you don't think would be something that snowballs, but again, can. I think the DTs have the least chance of snowballing, unless there's a follow-up all-in, but that was something that people were doing a long time ago. I don't think I've seen a follow-up DT drop all-in a long time.
No, so I was not looking at the base where Nerchio was taking some of those hits, right? But I was actually really curious how that third would go down because the Overlord actually ended up living with the pylon not being here to overcharge it. It blocks out the third even longer. So now not only is there more emphasis on ShoWTimE needing to do more with the Warp Prism, but he's not going for the base up here either. Like there's no third on deck, and that's really concerning. Is this live, by the way?
No.
Are they just casting replays?
Yes.
Is that Scarlet?
It's also Scarlet. Exactly. Anyway, the Warp Prism's already kind of low, and this has been a very effective defense against the Archon drop. And as you're talking about the third base being a little bit late is very unideal for ShoWTimE here. Not the cleanest opener, but not the worst either. Nerchio is getting those Hydralisk. Hey. It's gonna be amazing. The Hydra's gonna be great. Just you watch.
Maybe. But like an asterisk on it for now, I suppose. But yeah, muscular augments is gonna be the speed. Just generally speaking too, I mean, that was actually an upgrade that I don't think got a lot of attention, but I personally enjoyed watching at least, seeing that the Hydras moved fast overall, not just like on creep, off creep was like a queen difference.
Queen difference.
Nathanius is awfully quiet. I haven't seen that one yet. That's a good new one.
Good.
Ooh.
You what?
Actually, hold up. We just got a kill on that hatchery, not a cancel. That was nice out of ShoWTimE.
That was a big mistake. I was gonna actually say that ShoWTimE made a mistake by not getting the drone, but getting a cancel is much, or not cancel, getting a kill is much better.
Yeah.
Joke's on Nerchio.
Well, third base finally coming down for ShoWTimE, but it is so much later to the game. I'd say the income's probably been like, what, 400 behind if I had to guess? No, screw that, 900 to 400, my bad. See, up here, this is where I expected Nerchio to be really falling or leading with income, but with another base going down for him, ShoWTimE's starting to put that pressure on. He's starting to squeeze.
Squeeze, kind of. It is a strong army, but it is also a very positionally based army. The Source Fields are going to protect it a little bit. There's no upgrades as far as the Twilight Council tech goes, so these are all bare units. You might think there's Blink on those Stalkers because there's so many of them, but there isn't. So ShoWTimE pulls away. I think it's a much safer move, and it is going to go into charge, but it feels very late. He didn't go over particularly fast Templar Archives, so it's not like he's replacing that charge lots composition with storms like we saw yesterday in one of the series, but he just finds himself without much tech. Nerchio, though, is not going to push. He's just dealing with the Warp Prism harassment and continuing on his own tech advantages, getting a Bailey Nest and Invitation Pit now.
Ooh, I like these storms actually quite a bit coming out of this. Storm, like even with that extra health we talked about, like Hydras I think can weather the storm just a little bit better with the health, but still, area of effect damage is going to be very effective against these units. Now he'll try and catch a couple early. That one Hydra getting away with 20 health.
Nerchio is going to try and push in here. I mean, he's got so much behind this that he can transfer into. Like, he can go into a hive with Infestation Pit. He can get Infestors. He can even add on Banelings, though they would be slow. But really just mostly about the Hydras and Ravagers. If Charge finishes up, if Storm finishes up, Nerchio is going to get just wrecked.
One of our subs wants to know what's new with the patch. Not a whole hell of a lot, but Hydras do have 90 health instead of 80, which is a pretty big deal. Consider that like a free combat shields upgrade. The Templar on the backside almost have enough energy for, or almost have Storm finished up. They've got the energy for it, but they're taking the hits. They're getting shot by the Hydras. ShoWTimE, if he had 6 more seconds, may have taken a much better fight, but in the end is going to get barely overwhelmed. Or maybe not. Hold up, Charge Lot and Storms might just clean this up.
Yeah, they're going to clean it up, but he still took a much worse fight than he should have. Again, it was a difference of like 6 seconds there. 4 more storms a lot earlier, like any combination.
A lot of the time when we see timing attacks, they're usually pretty devastating, and it's not hinging on somebody just barely being out of tech. But for Nerchio, this really was a matter of timing in general, where if he had to attack 6 seconds later, storms would have been finished. Those Templar would have been on the front lines and not running away to the back of a mineral line.
Those changelings are stopping that. They're making that Archon just derp the hell out. Yeah, he even accidentally clicks on his Warp Prism with the attack, too.
I love that he just picks it up, though. It's like, screw it, I'm not dancing around these.
Yeah, right? All right, now Nerchio, we just talked about to recap of that fight, and while it looked very grim for ShoWTimE, Nerchio reinforcing without good protection of the Hydralisk has forced him to lose quite a bit of army supply, and he still has to be very careful. He's still going up against Archons and Immortals, and charge lots occasionally being warped in are very effective against the Hydras.
Yeah, and they're going to trade well too, because it is just mineral cost. He spends all that gas on the Templar instead, and this is why they combo so freaking well. +2 weapon upgrades and charge. I mean, I wish he had +3 on the way instead of armor, but still, nonetheless, upgrades are still happening for ShoWTimE behind all of this. Archons are good just generally. There's like nothing in the Zerg army that an Archon is bad against, but in this situation, he just doesn't have numbers or support for them.
2 more Immortals, a lot more charge lots, and still a couple more Storms. I don't think Nerchio's army is good enough anymore, but it might just be numbers. He is getting an okay concave, and he still has an army supply lead. Yeah, it does definitely fall behind in the upgrades, and in terms of army composition, yeah, it's not as good. But maybe the good old Zerg tactics, just overwhelm your opponent. Who cares about what your army consists of? You know, Time Warp wouldn't be too bad. The Post Overcharge is used.
Wow.
And, these Immortals are just wrecking these roaches.
Someone write that clip down. Remember it. Next time
GG. Protoss, GG.
Okay, so there's a Protoss GG, but there's a lot to talk about there with the way that game ended. Buzz is going to mention, like, Zombie Grub might be the only time anyone ever says that.
Yeah, I was thinking of a combo with the Storms.
But no, this was really cool, though, because for all things considered, that very first fight, it almost looked like Nerchio had won the game. And this is where that salt comes from, because he goes from being so close to just falling further and further away, and with Storms and with Charge and with Archons. Like, even though he tapped out there, I do want to point out that fight around the third, ShoWTimE's army almost looked like it was dead. Like, that was...
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't so one-sided that you're like, wow, Protoss is super broken. That was kind of a close game, all things considered.
Now, if Storm and +2 or Charge, I forget which one it was, but if Storm had finished for that fight, then that's when you probably think Protoss is really overpowered.
Yeah, I've actually, if you guys have been paying super close attention, I've just said F it recently. I've written off a couple of Protoss games that we've been casting. It's just like so stupid and so imba, but I don't feel like that was one of them. That was it was good out of ShoWTimE, frankly.
It was, yeah. And even though his opener didn't look like it was going to do a lot of damage, it did eventually add up. You know, the whole cancel on the 4th, and
yeah,
providing a lot of pressure, keeping Nerchio at home.
Well, next map is going to be Belshire Vestige. So just going to wait for that to go up real quick. Get into it. That kind of sounded like the Chocobo music almost a little bit. Like,
it was Chocobo music. I was going to ask what's your go-to elevator theme. But...
You know what? I can't answer that now though, because the only thing I have in my mind is the Chocobo music. Like, do 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 do.
I haven't. I spent so much time. I haven't played Final Fantasy 15 since like a week, I guess. Played it for like 8 hours straight, and then I stopped. But in those 8 hours, I basically just did a bunch of side quests. So I can't ride a Chocobo yet, because even though they're like there's Chocobo like spots to like hop on a Chocobo, they're like basically they say you haven't advanced far enough in the story to do it. It's like, oh, okay.
Well then.
Yes. And the game's ready to go.
Oh, this is really annoying. Let me skip the intro because I want to just moan and see if anyone has had problems with this. I ordered so someone was asking earlier, what's that little foam thing behind me? It's my soundproofing that didn't work properly is what it did. So I ordered like $150 worth of better quality foam stuff. And supposedly this was attempted to be delivered to my building, but they're saying nobody was home to receive it, so that it's in their loading docks or something at their mail facility. And I'm like, well, that's impossible because there's a 24/7 concierge here at the building. It's not that nobody was home. There's literally hundreds of people home. Like, I feel they didn't even try to deliver it, and they just claimed this. So now I'm looking up the address of the place they just gave me, and it is so far away. Like, I don't drive, and even if I did, it's like a half-hour drive from here. Like,
shipping places suck in your area.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, I figured this is a new building. There might be some confusion getting there, but they didn't say that was the problem, right? They said nobody was there to receive it, which is totally just BS. Anyways, I guess I got to look into that soon. But we're back. It's game number 2 in this best of 5 finals for the Corsair Cup, powered by Twitch. Spawning in the bottom right side, we do have the red Protoss player, ShoWTimE.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, it is Nerchio.
Now, you guys may have noticed Nerchio did this last game, and we didn't really bring a lot of attention to it because it's something we're very used to him doing. He's been doing this for like months and months and months now, where he doesn't want to just waste time with the probe. No dicking around with that pylon / potential block. He just goes and gets the base down because he's gonna get this third base up quickly anyways. So this is something that seems to be almost exclusive to him. There are some other Zerg players that will do this once in a while, but Nerchio will just always say, yeah, you know what? Just gonna go straight to the third.
Yeah. It's like if he chooses to go for the third once in a tournament, it's always going to be his choice the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
Go for the third. And I think ShoWTimE, of course, like this is, again, so common that all the Protosses do know about it. Sometimes Nerchio will be that tricky guy. He's not usually the trickster Zerg, but sometimes he can. And a Protoss who just assumes the third base, the natural's the third base, so therefore he should just take the third base as well at the natural. He should play playing a macro game. Can get blindsided by like a 2-base Ling drop, or hell, maybe even a Bailing all in. There was a maybe 2-3 week period in ZvP where Zergs were just like, I guess, saying F it and doing a lot of Bailing busts. But yeah, Nerchio is not usually that guy. And ShoWTimE was gonna scout and make sure the third game down anyways. You kind of still want to see drones there too to really confirm not doing anything too sneaky, but right, the guess could just be a Nerchio doing a macro game.
So, total side note, by the way, this was brought up on Twitter, so I will bring it up on the stream. People asking about, is it true we're really sponsoring Biol? Yeah, I guess it's kind of our bad because we haven't made an official announcement. That's because it doesn't actually start for 2 more days. March 15th to April 15th will be the first month of it. But yeah, we're actually fully planning to sponsor Bill. If you guys check his Twitter, he even retweeted the thing Maynard tweeted about it because he's on board. So this isn't something we're like, we made this up, and it's not something that we're like contemplating. This is something that is going to happen. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. There's definitely some feedback, people asking like why Biol of all people, and frankly, I think it's safe to say I just enjoy Biol, right? Like,
yeah.
There's
like him.
There's a time too where we had wanted to sponsor Journey, not because Journey was the most prominent or even good Zerg or Terran player, at the time, but he's just a player we enjoyed watching a lot of our cups, and that's kind of the same mentality here with Biol. And I guess explaining it one step further, while the Oracle comes out, this whole sponsorship with him is a very weird way to try and help him find a team. Like, we're literally calling our team looking for team. That way it's clearly advertised that Biol is not just some happy guy with like an independent sponsorship. Like he's getting paid a salary by BaseTradeTV while he is still actively trying to find a better deal with another team.
Yeah.
So it's a unique, fun thing for us. We've always wanted to do something like this.
Yeah, exactly. It is just kind of a passion project.
Hey, big ways thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Because speaking of which, that's where the money for this is coming from. We're just taking it out of the subscriber fund and then splitting up whatever crumbs are left over for myself and Zombie Grub. But that's how we'll be paying for Biol. How we pay for No Regrets rent at the Korea house. And again, with all you guys subbing, it really fuels us and gives us the ability to do cool things. Me and Zombie Grub are not exactly saving up to buy a Bugatti or something behind this. It's just more cool, fun stuff we can do with StarCraft.
I'm not saving for that? Shit.
Wait, was I supposed to? I just assumed we weren't.
Oh man, but I really wanted one. I love cars.
Me too. My favorite thing's driving them all the time.
I love Bugattis and Ferraris and Panay and... Wait a second.
I thought Bulgogi was a car the first time I heard it.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of where I was going with
like,
trying to name pasta, but...
Everyone loves Bulgogi. It's a sweet ride.
Exactly. I kind of like the, this is going to sound really stupid, but the car in Joe Dirt that he really wants.
I don't remember, man. That's too much.
Oh, no. It's like I also just like the paint job on those cars too, because it's usually like orange, like black stripes. I don't know. It's cheesy, but I like it.
I have two very different tastes in cars. On one hand, I'd love to have like one of the new Teslas. I think they look really sexy. I love the idea of the electric car, etc., etc. Or like a really old fucking like Lincoln that I would refurbish and tune
Old
up.
cars always smell so weird. Nah.
Lincolns are like, I don't know if you know what the car is. It's just like a giant land barge is what its nickname. Like that'd be my jam. Anyways, the Oracles did not accomplish much, which was unfortunate, but they've kept scouting on the Lings, realizing that they were out of position. He moves down the right side of the map with these Adepts. Nerchio, having seen this with his 4th, though, does pull the drones in time, but
bad news.
Yeah,
with
so many
Warren.
Right, and this is the problem. Even with Banelings coming out, the thing is the Adepts don't have a lot to be scared of. The Oracles could actually, if they have the energy, focus down said Banelings. But a full surround might not matter. The Adepts are a pretty good unit. And the Banelings coming through the backside now. The Oracles are on the wrong side. They're shooting an Extractor. So certainly miscontrol out of ShoWTimE. But he kills 32 drones. So you're kind of like, not a bad deal.
I'm going to guess he shift-clicked on the drones and actually accidentally shift-clicked the last thing on the Extractor. So that was a mistake, but 33 drones, a lot of Lings. I mean, he even managed to, that's...
boy.
That can happen. Nerchio had decided to go for a different composition. He did get a Baneling nest a lot earlier, but obviously didn't get the Banelings, and wasn't going to go for Roaches in general. I mean, even if he had a Roach one, it was the whole point about you'd have to have the units prepared, and he didn't.
So on a side note, by the way, someone's asking why Beulah and not somebody like Alive? Well, that would be a conflict of interest because Alive is trying to sleep with the manager of the team, so to speak. So that would just not work out well, I feel.
Him sound so crass. He wants to.
But do you know that he's not? The guy has tattoos. You don't know what kind of guy he is.
Tattoos of the devil.
All right. Sit tight, guys. We're going to go to one more commercial break. It might be the last one of the day if Nerchio can't bring this back. But thank you to Contradi and Gambaroo for the new subs. Really excited to have you guys on board. And again, we are sponsored by Twitch. Like, this isn't something we've made up. This is official. They're the ones who are beefing up these prize pools and making us able to do really cool things like fly players to events and all that good stuff. So your subscriptions mean a lot to us, as well as help fuel that sponsorship. So sit around, sit tight. We'll be back after 2 minutes for game number 3. All right, we're back and getting into game number 3. If you've just joined us on the cast for whatever reason, you might be coming in at the end of it. It's the last best of 5 at the very least today, but on his very last life already, in the top right, it's going to be the Polish Zerg player pulling from behind, Nerchio.
In the bottom left, as the red Protoss, he is ShoWTimE. People pointing out Nerchio's Twitter. Nerchio, yeah, he still has some complaints about ZvP. I'm glad to see that maybe he's thinking about it more in a what could fix it type of way, I guess, as opposed to just this is what's broken.
Well, yeah. So that's actually a thing. Like, if you go to a year ago, Nerchio would just be like, "Thanks for the Warp Prism, David Kim," or something snide like that. But instead,
yeah, something like that.
I actually the pickup range of the Warp Prism. Okay, so for those of you who want to know the full context, what he tweeted was exactly this. At this point, removing the pickup range on the Warp Prism would be a good idea. 200 mineral unit shouldn't be so versatile. I actually like the pickup range, and I think it adds a really cool element to it. I'm going to go back to my idea that I suggested, even at the summit, which was, I guess, not taken too seriously. I think if you changed it so the Warp Prism had significantly, like the same amount of overall health and shields, but you put more weight, like 75% onto the health instead of the shields, then it doesn't get to fly away and regenerate and keep coming back forever. And I think that's where a unit that costs no gas should have a drawback. But instead, there's a lot of games where we'll see a Warp Prism actually just never die, because it just flies away at 100 health, regenerates its shields back to the full 200, and then the players just get able to keep doing it for a long time. I don't think the Warp Prism, though, like in fairness, is the worst part of this matchup, but it is certainly something that I've noticed through a lot of casts, and it just, for me, sticks out.
Did they change anything about the Warp Prism after that summit?
No.
I can't remember. No, they didn't change anything.
They probably gave it more speed. I don't know.
Well, I was wondering maybe there was a health change, but I couldn't remember. Anyways, yeah, I think everyone agreed in that room that it was a good idea, but I guess they just... To be honest, the Warp Prism didn't really cause many conflicts. Everyone... I thought
you
it
know what?
would, and even the complaints brought up by Zerg players at the time weren't necessarily what was breaking the matchup. At the time, the matchup wasn't broken, so.
The Blizzard summits are sometimes the most heartbreaking things for me because they're all NDA'd up and there's no streams and you don't see what happens. People don't get to see the one time I beat MMA in like a 1v1. People don't get to find fucking like 7 other pro gamers agreeing with me on a topic. Like, instead everyone just thinks I'm an idiot all the time and it feels bad, man.
Yeah, so I think that's just why nothing ever happened, was I didn't think it would be a problem. I think Nerchio is not wrong though. It's like one of those things that could probably be a quality of life thing that could change up the matchup. But would it fix it? I mean, I don't think he's saying it would fix it. It's hell.
I mean, yeah, I'm sitting there too. Like, there are some instances where you watch the War Prism drag and drop Archons and it looks broken, but then there's some instances where the War Prism pickup makes for the sickest, coolest games at the same time. So I wouldn't want to lose the really cool fun factor if there's a way to keep it, but still fix the problem of its staying power, or the ability to just sit from so far away and keep picking up over and over and over again. I mean, the other part of this too is, I don't say this seriously, but jokingly, maybe Queens just need more range.
Gosh, shut up. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, guesswork aside, I guess on how to fix that. And it is very good that there's legitimate possibilities, suggestions rather. But ShoWTimE did open up a double gateway. He might go into double Stargate. Hey, it's Cactus Valley. But no, it started with a double gateway. It did force Nerchio to make a few more lanes than he would have liked to, but it didn't really do that much. So I mean, it's Cactus Valley cross spawn. It was always going to be limited in what it was doing. But the follow-up of Resident Enclaves, he did manage to save 1 or 2 adepts, and is going to be warping in a handful more. And Nerchio will have another adept attack to deal with. But the Banelings should be well timed for this. Yeah, and he's immediately making Banelings too.
Yeah, while the adepts move out, and I'll shut up when the attack begins, I just realized a really cool idea for a show match would be like a custom show match series where each player could submit their version of balance changes, and we could play like 3 games on one player's balance changes and 3 games on the other type thing. It's like, if you said ShoWTimE, if you could fix the game, what would you do? Nerchio, if you could fix the game in this matchup, what would you do? And see how those look. I'm actually really curious. That'd be something fun to do. We don't have any time for that, which kind of sucks. Otherwise, I would absolutely try and set that up.
There was. I remembered the War Prism changing somehow. It was a nerf. That's right. It got 100 to 80 in the shields. Anyway. So that bothered me. Chat got to it.
Good old chat.
And the adepts are cleaned up.
Yeah, and a big part of that was Nerchio having the Banelings ready to go. You mentioned it, and it wasn't the cleanest hit that got the center and the core of all the adepts, but it was enough to drive this back. But ShoWTimE lays down 2 Stargates behind this, and that's double Phoenix prediction starting up right now.
It's a pretty common tactic, I feel, on Cactus Valley specifically, but also after this opener, the 2 gateway into 3rd gateway adept attack, poke, whatever you want to call it, and then into double Stargate. So Nerchio might not be too surprised to see it if he ever did bother scouting it. Of course, he's not usually one to Suicide Overlord to get Overlord speed, so the point at which he's scouted is when the 2 Phoenixes kill his Overlord, but he might not be too surprised. He is getting 2 Roach Warrens that are very close to each other, so it looks almost on purpose. I don't think it is, though. He doesn't have a layer, so he can't start both upgrades. Just a straight-up mistake. Well, that sucks. That's a couple of minerals you'd want maybe into more drones.
Maybe he's just so prepared for ShoWTimE to kill one of them, because that's a thing.
Yeah, you always target the Roach Warren in the main.
Fact that they're right next to each other is what really makes that, right? Like,
yeah, it looks very odd, but it's definitely a mistake. 4th base is on the way. Mild harassment, mild, just Nerchio having to be a little bit scared with the adepts and the Phoenixes roaming every which way, but not really too much damage. I am interested in seeing what Nerchio will get with the lair. Obviously, Roach speed, Baneling speed, sure, but Hydralisk or Spire, because this is a game where we get to really talk about the upgrades, the recent change.
Yeah, so someone did ask earlier about the patch, and I just kind of brushed it off and said the Hydras, because that was the only thing we saw in that game. But what's interesting is if Nerchio wanted to play, say, for example, Mutacorruptor, which has fallen out of favor for a while, it's something that might actually be viable nowadays with the new damage point and acceleration on the Corruptors. I honestly don't know. This is actually a question of, like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Right, exactly. And it still seems to be because it was carriers were an issue, but carriers aren't the go-to for everyone And, they're a lot less go-to than they were 2 months ago or whatever it was. In fact, you see, I would say maybe even more of this, what's happening right now, as opposed to carriers. Yes, he could have gone into a fleet beacon and gone carriers. And then we'd really get to talk about the corruptors. But it was double Stargate into back into ground army. Double Robo. I assume some Twilight Council upgrades also on the way, Blinker, Charge, or whatever. And Nerchio would like to scout that too, I would assume. But Nerchio, he's not a scouting type of guy. He just usually knows, either because he knows the player, or he knows the meta, or he knows based off of slight, things he's seen shown to him, like how many Phoenixes there are, how many Adepts are shown on the ground.
Such a large amount of Phoenix too, though. Like we're up on 11. We're getting close to like Lil Bo playing 2v2 levels of Phoenix here.
Yeah.
On that note,
I thought.
On other fun notes of things, we haven't done a 2v2 tournament in a while. That might be a fun weekend planned if we find nothing to do in April.
Sure. I thought you were gonna bring up Lil Bao's Dust Tower mass robo game.
Oh god, no, that was like 3 robos, whatever.
At the same time, and you can say that was crazy. It's a lot of Phoenixes, and it is double robo, not triple robo. Hydras are very difficult to use against Phoenixes. You need them all clumped up. You need them even, ideally protected by Queens or Spore Crawlers, and that's so many Phoenixes easily taking out very expensive units.
Immediately though starts moving towards Storm. So this is a great read on seeing so many Lings, but of course will benefit well against the Hydras, as we saw in previous games. But it's a long time out. We'll see if it gets a chance to come into play, because right now there's a big attack of Lings on the way. He sees this with the Observer, and his army to defend is really not that noteworthy. It's a couple of sentries, a couple of force fields.
Come at me. No, his army really isn't that bad when you consider everything spell-wise that Protoss has, and it's 30 army supply is something that Protoss have to deal with almost every push. So
I don't know. The Gateway's gonna buy a bit of time, but that Storm is still like 30 seconds out, 20 seconds out.
Well, there is one important thing to note, and that's whenever you face a Protoss player with High Templars. Oh no.
The force field on the pylon to keep her from getting Bane Bust. That's a really cool move. I like that.
Yeah. You did lose one High Templar to a couple of Lings, but still 3 more. And I was going to say is that you kind of there's usually a necessity to assume that Storm is already done. Nerchio still pushes in, but Storms are still almost ready to go, and he's got to be very careful.
Phoenixes lift up the Hydras. They're just crowd controlling them at this point. It's not so much about killing them. It's going to cost him the Phoenix, though, doing so. Storm's come down a little bit late. Nerchio's still flooding units. ShoWTimE holds onto the base, but he lost like 4 or 5 gateways worth of production through this, too.
That is very good point. Like, we saw a game yesterday that even came down to that lack of production. So ShoWTimE does try and instantly pile on those gateways again. There'll probably be a bit of a lull. He still has Storms, though, and he's about to have Charge.
Oh my god, is that why they call it a pylon?
Wait, why?
Because you pile on the gateways?
Oh, so I was looking for the word that you're going to pun on.
I thought that's what you said. Was that not what you said?
No, it was. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking something else. Anyways, High Templars, the Banelings do end up reaching them, and he needed those Storms. He doesn't have Charge that's being warped in a lot because of those lack of gateways. I
think Nerchio's got this. It's getting a little out of hand for ShoWTimE. His army supply is down to 11. He responds with 30. The reverse Imba. But look at this, guys. This was a game that had Mass Phoenix, Storms, and Immortals, but no Warp Prism. No, wait, hang on. Let me do that again. Okay, that was a game that had Immortals and Storms and lots of Phoenix, but no Warp Prism.
What did you do?
Don't worry about it. All right, what's the next map? What are we getting into here?
I don't know. ShoWTimE has to pick.
Okay, well, while ShoWTimE picks, I'm going to quickly shout out Wreak Havoc. Thank you for the new sub. And Beast Mode Animal Style. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but me. Thank you for the 100 bits. We're going to go to commercial break. I'll see you guys soon. All right, we're back. Game number 4. And still possibly the end of the series. Quick answer to chat, though someone's asking, why can't I at Zombie Grub but not at Riff King? Because unfortunately, to run the show, I have to be logged into the BaseTradeTV account. So if you at BaseTradeTV, I guess that's technically at me. Anyways, game number 4. He's got 1 point on the board, and he's not going down without a fight. In the top left, the Polish Zerg, King Arthur himself, Nerchio.
In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, he is ShoWTimE.
Oh my god, I want to live in a world where Nerchio is King Arthur and Bly is like his Lancelot.
Yo, why? So, when I was younger, my mom gave me a couple of different book series. One of them was the Bulgariad, which I really like. Another one was like this King Arthur series. Like a gigantic book, right? And then I was actually very interested in King Arthur storytelling, I suppose, because there's a bunch of different versions, right? When I was younger. I never really understood why Lancelot had to be such a dick. Or Guinevere had to be such a...
Salute.
Yeah. Such a hoe.
Actually, I love the idea of like the whole Knights of the Round Table and all that stuff, but the whole concept is like kind of silly and far-fetched anyways. But the classic like best friend like betrayal, like, I think that's just like that's storytelling 101 in a way, you know?
Yeah, okay. I think the difference for me, especially because like it again depends on how the story is told. There's so many different versions, but in a lot of the ones that I read, it was this whole big like, you know, amazing ceremony when Guinevere and Arthur meet each other. You know, like the angels sing, light shines on them, they instantly fall in love.
Pulls a sword out of a stone.
Well, it's very fantasy, right? Like very happily ever after.
Well, yeah.
And then very quickly it turns into, kids, let's learn about adultery. And I think that's what really always threw me off about it, was that it was very like fantasy, perfect romance, and then just kidding, we need conflict. This is what's gonna happen.
I actually always think back to there's an old cartoon from like the 90s, right? King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. And yo, that intro was like the most metal intro. I still like love listening to that song to this day. So like whatever for the actual like real King Arthur stuff, I always think back to like this cartoon where they've got like a shield that shoots a ram out of it. And other stupid things like.
Wow, shoots a ram out of it.
Yeah, dude. Knocks over the other. It was a bunch of football kids that got sent back in time to become the Knights of Justice. Okay.
Is it really? That's really the plot?
Yeah, it's so good. I think it was like even they were like on a school bus or something too, right?
I mean, that sounds like amazing children cartoon. I'm not even gonna lie, but
yo, it was super legit, straight up.
I bet it was. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, they got that whole Twitch Presents thing coming out. I wonder if we're allowed, like, how that'll work for streaming shit stuff. Like, I don't think you could stream shows because that's still copyright issues, right? Same with like how if you co-stream the Power Rangers announcement, like you can't keep VODs. But I wonder if it's ever going to come to that point where you could share like your favorite kid shows like with people.
Zoids.
Oh, I thought you were going to shout SpongeBob, but I guess that was more of like an adult show for you, huh?
Yeah, it was. I mostly got all the jokes from SpongeBob by watching it before high school.
I'm so mad about Samurai Jack, by the way, on this note.
Oh.
Because if you go to Adult Swim to watch it, you have to log in with some American cable provider. I can't watch it. I actually cannot watch it.
I hate that. I don't have any of the password login, whatever shit of any of what we have, so I've never used it.
I also just, even if it was like available to Canada through the same way, I don't use cable. Like I don't watch TV. I watch everything online. So this is one of those things where if I could pay $5 to watch the Samurai Jack series on AdultSwim.com, I would. But because they don't make it available, that's where people start looking to like torrenting and other dumb things. Like I haven't had to do this for years, but this might be the first time I'm like maybe a little bit not so legal with my attempt to watch this amazing show.
Yeah, I was wondering like yesterday, like, didn't like Samurai Jack come out? Where's the tweets?
Probably because nobody can watch it.
I know why.
No, I heard really good things about it, and that's why I was like really sad. Anyways, the game has actually developed to the point where podcast over and game time begins. Because ShoWTimE, third base Mickey Mouse styles. He's actually got some nice gateway production. He's not sitting here on anything too greedy. It's the Chrono Boost on the Resonating Glaives. It's the Stargate. Like, this is everything you would expect him to be really doing. And nothing too insane. But this does present problems for Nerchio. So first off, he does deflect this off initially. Not bad. 2 Oracles could actually get a lot of kills around a Spore Crawler. But he's got Banlings having already been pre-made. He's got the Roach Warren on the way. Like, he was ready for an Adept attack.
Yeah. He was absolutely ready. I think last game wasn't the lack of War Prism. It was probably the lack of Adept dealing any damage, but War Prism was funnier.
Or Prism
Thank
is
you
a lot
to
memeier. Yeah.
Tom for the 22-month resub. Hi. And to CPV Maniac, the 27-month resub.
Yo.
Hi.
Maynard throwing shade at us, man. He was saying like he's the only one that can pronounce his name properly. Look, just because just because I say Dominschweird, whatever. At least I'm past the point where I put the extra.
Okay, Dom literally, like, Maynard, like, guessed, and he guessed correctly, and Dom was literally like, you're the only caster that can say it correctly.
Look, you say Dom, and I just think, like...
Sub-Dom?
No, Vin Diesel playing, like, Fast and Furious, right? Like...
I had a conversation with a friend who thinks along those lines, so when I said we had a lot of subs, she was really confused.
It's like submarines?
No, that's not where she was going with that.
Oh, I see. A lot of doms and subs. Got it. Wink, wink. Gimp, gimp. I mean, nudge, nudge. Excuse me.
Oh, good.
Giggity.
So this game, right, Nerchio kind of just automatically countered any attempt at ShoWTimE's aggression. I mean, ShoWTimE wasn't going to all in with Adepts, but if he was trying to poke, Nerchio would have been fine against it. So it's gone to the late game here, and ShoWTimE is going to Storm, Charge, the usual stuff. He's going a bit different of an order, right? Like, he doesn't have any Immortals right now, so he'll have really fast Storm and Charge, but Nerchio is going for Ling, Hydra, Baneling, so, you know, Storm's going to be pretty good. Oh yeah, chat agrees with me about the Zoids thing, but I wanted to ask them which Zoid they're talking about. You know, there's two different. There's actually a bunch of different Zoids, but
you know, I feel like this is kind of akin to asking people about their power range. Like, the red one.
The red one. Nah, Chaotic Sentry was the best, easily. All right, so this is not the full might of Nerchio's army. This feels very much so like a poke, but we have Hydras now coming in here, and it looks a bit better.
This army for Nerchio, though, like, if there's no force fields, things like charge lots are actually not going to be that effective with Banelings waiting in the front door, but the
Lordy.
Storms get all the Banelings, so never you mind. Nerchio's got a couple more on the backside of this, but oh gosh, that was
brutal.
Yeah, so it's interesting because the Banelings and the Storms actually hold a similar purpose in this game. On one hand, you have the Storms to wash off the Lings and Banelings. On the other, you've got the Banelings to wash off the Zealots. But ultimately, I think Storms are better because they're free and energy-based. Nerchio does take a better fight, though. This was like a very awkward squad of units for ShoWTimE to have forward like this.
Yeah, they definitely should have been out there like that, and he wasn't even, you know, paying attention to them. So it was extra bad. And in fact, it might just be game ending bad. Like, the fourth base probably would have been canceled regardless of his loss of units there, but it would have been important time buying. I guess it's not game over. There's nothing to protect these Hydras, but it was very scary.
Yeah.
Nerchio is starting to finish up his other upgrades. He does have a Lurker Den also on the way, but ShoWTimE has been building his Immortal account, so I don't think Lurkers are going to counter, per se, but they are helpful.
Well, waiting for those Storms. Nerchio, I don't think he's got enough units to play, like, bully here. If he can get a concave with the Hydras and he catches ShoWTimE overextending, absolutely he'll look good for that fight. But with Lurkers on the way, he's got to keep them protected, and Immortals are going to tear right through him. This is what's so frustrating to look at, because for Nerchio, there's no real hard counters to ShoWTimE's army, but for Nerchio's army, everything is hard countered some way by ShoWTimE.
Yeah. Positioning might still just work out in favor of Nerchio, though. Although this isn't a great start to that positioning. He's gonna be chased? Yeah, I was gonna say, just don't chase him, that'd be very awkward, just go back to your base. +2 is done for ShoWTimE, almost done for Nerchio. He's gonna be taking out, once again, a lot of production over here. If he'd focus it.
Okay, so the Lurkers can actually help out a ton of keeping these units back. More almost like siege tanks just because they've got that extra range, but as we see, even Storms are starting to deal with them. It's a little bit rough. I do like this left side attempt at a flank, but Nerchio's still pushing those front lines. I really like that ShoWTimE's biding his time, though. If he gets enough Immortals out, he'll literally be able to A-move this, and it will look broken and stupid, but it will work. Here's the Observer, there's the detection, and the Lurkers get like 4 shot by Immortals.
Yeah, well, some of the Immortals would lost their shields, so very rather. They did get taken down, but That was still a decent fight for ShoWTimE after losing the High Templars, 1 or 2 Immortals. A lot more lurkers were lost, and Nerchio, he's gonna start feeling trapped here. You know, he might still have the numbers advantage, but it's a very small advantage. But he's not advancing tech, he's not going to a, Broodlords or Hive, and he might just get stuck on mid-tier tech.
Broodlords would be phenomenal considering the amount of Immortals he's almost baited ShoWTimE into making in a strange way, but happy to keep producing 2 Immortals at a time.
Yeah.
Nerchio's army on the ground, I mean, he keeps waiting to attack. He uses Templar time for storms. It lets the Immortals have their barriers come back off of cooldown. Revelation does end up getting cast. Probes get killed in that mineral line, but I still think ShoWTimE's army is looking so much better.
Well, the Lings and Banelings are all gone now.
You know,
the Chargelots can try and get forward. The Immortals are going to get on top of these. Lurkers aren't even really attacking.
There's no Overseers. You can't pick off the Observer, by the way. I mean, Revelation was cast anyways, but as we can see here, it almost just looks a movie and too easy, and all the lurkers get popped out of the ground. Resources lost ends up skyrocketing for Nerchio, and he's making more lakes, he's making more Hydras. He might be able to stop ShoWTimE from going for a direct counterattack, but ShoWTimE just demolished the biggest part of Nerchio's army. That's a big investment in lurkers.
Mm-hmm. And this is that point of maybe just being stuck, Nerchio is just going to continue making Hydras and Lings and maybe a couple of lurkers here and there, but really, the army composition of ShoWTimE has already beaten that. So usually, this is where the acceleration to Hive would be very, very good to have. It's not happening here for Nerchio. A little bit of a counter, very odd to see just Hydras. It's working out okay.
It picked off the pylon that was powering the Robos, and the Robos have been powering ShoWTimE's army, so ends up being a pretty nice counter. I mean, it drives off probes too, of course, but I'm actually more worried about production than income at the moment.
I mean, he has enough Immortals, but what if he loses all his Observers? Well, I guess he's Revelation.
He's only got the 1 Oracle through Revelation, though, and there's a pretty good chance that gets picked off. I think the Observers are a pretty big factor, though, because we've seen a lot of games where players like Nerchio will focus down detection once they realize it's an option and a potential solution, but plenty of Banelings setting up for the attack on the right side once again. I think a head-on engagement favors ShoWTimE in a lot of these cases, but splitting up like this might actually be better for Nerchio.
It might be. ShoWTimE is starting to take into account, I suppose, the possibility. So he's got a couple of units rallied.
He's got a storm.
There we go. Well, still not quite enough. He needed another warping of Chargelots, and that probably would take care of it if it was like 8 at a time.
This is also where you wish you had like 1 DT or something too, right? But that pylon was not placed next to the Nexus, so it's a slow warping of Zealots.
Awkward. And then, of course, there's no pylon next to the mineral line, so that Mothership 4 felt very useless.
Oh.
Unfortunately, a bit too close to the cannon. Lurkers being taken out.
There you
go. Nerchio is starting to find these holes that he had to, really. As you said, the straight up fight would go in favor of ShoWTimE. That last lurker does get demolished. Prism's coming back. I think it's just an F2. And probes are going down. ShoWTimE cannot really get above a certain army supply. It's a good army, but it's never above 100.
Yeah, the +3 weapon's really shining through in a lot of these fights. But okay, calm it down, taking a break. Really annoying. Now he's got the War Prism, and he's going to be able to start putting in some of the pressure in. I mean, charge lots, it doesn't take many. Like 2 with +3 could, if there wasn't Hydra support, easily kill those Queens, and then a ton of drones afterwards.
Yep. Well, ShoWTimE. Feeling the burn on the minerals, but not really on the gas, so Archons are going to be the way to go. Investing in a lot of Storms as well. Still a very good army. It's not like High Templars are bad. I think he'll be wanting a 5th base soon, but again, so mineral starved. He still needs to worry about his army supply. Another Mothership's going to be built and probably killed at the same location that it's been killed in the past 2 lives.
I don't know if he saw those lurkers. If he does, and he gets on top of them now, this will be huge, but right side of the map does have an attack coming in, once again towards that 3rd. Banley's going to roll in and pick off a little bit, but not much.
Oh, this is very, like, Nerchio just... Okay, so he takes a risk by letting his lurkers only be, like, alone against a bunch of Immortals, but he did just kind of trap the Immortals in there. So the right side attack, if there weren't storms, would be doing a lot of damage right now. Good thing there were those storms.
He needs like 1 more storm, but the problem is these slow warpins. Again, this might kill him. The base, at least.
Yeah, that pylon's a real humdinger, man. It looks like it's
the
Nexus. But... No, his army just went to the natural. Huh. Well, I think it split up. The Immortals went one way, the Archons went the other? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if there's like some sort of weird recall like to get them out of that cliff or something, but I guess not.
Nerchio has really 4 minutes ago, it was a potential of just continuing to take fights head on and losing and losing and losing and losing, and then it would definitely be ShoWTimE's game. But by splitting up and getting this damage done, he's really taking control.
I do want to point out the specific attack that killed this third. If it wasn't for the Hydra health buff, I don't think would have killed that third.
That's a good point. Yeah. It, you know, combined with that trapping with the lurkers, but for sure that.
Well, I mean more that they literally survived like 4 storms, whereas before they might not have, right? Like the 10 health goes a long way in that regard. But this balance, quote unquote, thing aside, this was one of the, or not aside, in consideration, because this was one of the things we talked about. Like, yeah, the matchup looks imba, but Nerchio starts building units that got buffed recently, and maybe this is all he needed to do. Maybe Hydras are the way, the saviors of the match. So many lurkers coming in now. While there's a million storms hitting, all the Templar just got picked off.
Yeah. The Immortals were a little late to the party, and everything was going to be trapped anyway, and Nerchio...
I think Nerchio's done it.
He doesn't run away necessarily with the army supply, but he's very close to it. He could probably get these last couple of Immortals. I think their barriers are on cooldown.
I really think that by killing the economy of ShoWTimE, putting him on one base like this has secured Nerchio the game.
Oh yeah, I think Nerchio will win in the long run. I mean, Nerchio has run out of his main, natural, and third. He is not, you know, leaps and, you know, bounds ahead, but it's still 1,300 more. So
GG.
GG.
Okay, we're going to the final match, and maybe Nerchio's feeling a little bit more confident in playing now after a game or two like this. That is, again, a difference of $100 for second place and $200 for first place. So certainly not slacking off and going to give it his best shot. We'll go to a commercial break. I actually have to go take care of something really quick anyways, so 2 minutes, and we'll be back for Game 5. All right, with the score being tied up 2-2 in this Corsair Cup Season 2 Finals, we do find ourselves in game number 5. I want to thank you all for joining us. We're almost at 4,000 viewers to finish the series. That's pretty sick. That's pretty awesome. But in the bottom left side of the map, with 2 points on the board and fighting back against the Protoss Menace, is going to be the Red Scare, Nerchio.
Call him communist? Jesus. In the top right, as the blue Protoss, E is ShoWTimE.
Actually, that's an interesting concept here. Like, how would you what sort of government style would you classify each of the races' economy to look like, right? Because for me...
Well, wouldn't Zerg be communist?
That's actually what I was going to say, right? Like, kind of, yeah. they would be. I think... yeah.
But I don't... First of all,
Terran would be capitalism, for sure. Mules, right? Like...
Okay, then what is Protoss?
I'm trying to think. This is the game, right?
I was gonna say I honestly don't remember enough about government types to even think about a third one. I know that sounds really bad, but it's true.
Well, I mean, it's totally possible to have 2 governments of capitalism, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's different. Yeah, of course. But like, I remember there was like a graphic that was very helpful in trying to understand the differences between all the governments. That was like what to do with 2 cows. And I'm sure if I had that graphic, maybe I could try and help, but I don't know. Because like Zerg takes everything and then delivers it all equally to everything, like upgrades.
And you come from all the different places together too, like larva being the different places, etc.
So that like makes a lot of sense. But Protoss, I would also expect is somewhat of the same thing because they are kind of a society.
Yeah, which is the really rich? Is it Republic? That's like the rich people or whatever.
I don't know, man. I just know that they help increase wonder production.
Well, because I'm thinking. Get out of here with your civilization knowledge. No, because I was thinking, honestly, like, I guess more along, like, Star Wars and, like, the way their governments are set up. I kind of feel like Protoss isn't too far from that.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well,
Chat's going to have some very, like, insightful answers. For once, they might be helpful.
Or they'll just be shooting us down. I mean, technically, we're not supposed to talk about politics.
It's a good point. What are we doing, man?
By the way, we did have some resubs we missed out on. Dom earlier, obviously, but the Mescon sub for 15 months saying, oh, it's been more than a year. Worth it. Old Jimmy for 7 months says, hi, Riff Grub. And that's neither of our names. Kane? Yeah. Or why
is he first?
Look, you had International Women's Day, okay? Calm down.
I had one day.
Men's Day isn't apparently till like the 15th. Give me a break. I gotta wait.
Yours not until November.
That's what I'm saying. I have to wait.
I think you said Wednesday. I was like, dude.
Well, it might be a Wednesday actually. How sick would that be? Nerchio, on the other hand, is doing some pretty sick moves himself. He's made a drop overlord in not one but two locations, and this reminds me of like the old Nerchio. This is like Nerchio who was playing on like Detox and other maps like a few seasons ago, and I loved seeing him do moves like this. It was sometimes a little bit lame. Let's be honest, it doesn't always work out, but catching ShoWTimE off guard in one position is one thing, but knowing for a fact you can't have overcharge in both mineral lines simultaneously, that's what's going to make this so fantastic. And the Adept scouting this on the left side might be the biggest mistake, because ShoWTimE's going to react to this, say, oh, he's all at the front door. This is where I'll send all my attack, all my Adepts, everything. And while Nerchio opens the front door, he gets to the mineral lines of the natural. ShoWTimE pulls immediately, though, so the reaction time is good.
Yeah. I mean, keep in mind, Nerchio did not cut drones at like 18 or something insane to do this. Like you see some other all-ins. So he really wants to get a bit of damage done, but he's really not getting any. Like this is not good.
I like this. Therian Gaming, by the way, says Protoss would. Oh no, it wasn't Therian Gaming. Excuse me. Someone, it's already out of chat. Someone said an oligarchy for Protoss, and that's actually really good. I like that one, especially with the way the Kala works and all that. But we're talking about economy and not like lore, so I don't know. We'll put like a star on that one, like a little asterisk. Either way, I love the Void Ray follow-up to this. Not because you're worried about legs or roaches or anything like that, but it's going to be the quickest thing to clear up these drop overlords, which could continue to be nuisances as the game goes on.
Mm-hmm. Some people really getting on our asses about the terminology here.
It's a for fun discussion, guys.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Oracles will get a 5 drone kills for this, but he transfers most over to the 3rd, so loses some mining, so it's a little bit more damage, of course. But I like that Nerchio is bringing one of the overlords back. Having the potential to drop banlings later is always going to be cool. Oh, the queen with the transfuse is going to go down. Feels bad.
That's nice. A couple drones too. This is some good return damage for the Havoc. That was, I mean, didn't really do a lot, but it was a pain to deal with, I guess, for ShoWTimE. So he got his revenge. Thank you to .ktml for the 1313 sub.
I love Maynard in chat. I love all races, but only one of them builds pylons in my main, though. Pylons in my main?
Well, there's. I guess Zerg doesn't really do as many annoying things to Terran as they do as Protoss does.
It's funny because you think about the concept of what a pylon is for a moment, right? This thing actually makes no sense. Like, ignore the fact that it's overcharged, the fact that it would proxy in general and provide warp-ins. Okay, there's actually a lot of justifiable reasons to have a pylon in your opponent's main. Then you've got a unit / building that's designed to go under the map and bypass all defenses, be invincible while unburrowing in the main, yet that never gets used.
I don't.
Just conceptually speaking, the pylon should be the Nidus Worm. You might as well. You know, why not? Why not just make it like that, right? Like it's a warp in. Not like you need telemetry or anything. Just tell them where it's going, give them the trigonometry, and warp it into the base.
Give them the trigonometry. Oh god.
Triangulate the position, dude. You gotta get the math out.
What is it? What is it? Oh shit! I'm actually trying to think of that sciencey projection. No.
Projection is not the most sciencey word I think you've ever said.
No, it's not, but it's something along like the projection. Oh my god, I can't actually remember. Jeez. Okay, whatever. Science aside, this game has gone into what looks to be a very normal game, even though Nerchio really could have made things topsy-turvy with the Ling drop. It didn't do very much, and he was able to recover from it. You know, he didn't commit too much to it either, and it just looks kind of normal, supply-wise and tech-wise.
Trajectory?
Trajectory, thank you.
What?
Oh, lordy.
What? How are you getting projection out of a trajectory?
Well, hold on. Hold on. Because a projection is an estimate or forecast of a future situation or trend based on a study of a present one. So a trajectory is like something that it's like you can project.
You know, Zamgirl, I just want to throw.
Trajectory.
Sometimes it's okay to be like, you know what, guys, I was stupid. I said the wrong thing. It's
I am willing to
perfectly
say
fine.
It was the wrong word, but it was along the same lines, though, like a trajectory and a projection. Like, projection's more of an estimate, or a trajectory is something that you've actually mapped out to hopefully be absolutely perfect and accurate, but...
Oh, sorry, what? I fell asleep for a second.
Oh, Rifkin.
Sorry, I appreciate you and your huge brain.
Never pay attention in science class. This is like a huge brain. I think no matter what, I didn't come off well here, but at least I had a line of thinking that made sense.
I like that that's the priority. Like, you had to defend, like, look, I might be wrong, but I wasn't wrong in the way that I thought that I was wrong, okay?
Kind of.
God damn it, that's like your personality in a nutshell.
It's important.
Okay.
Otherwise, just being straight up wrong is bad.
A lot of storms are available. The Banelings managed to make it through the first wave of storms, and they actually connect to some of the Protoss army on the backside. But Nerchio stalled out with this Hydras. I mean, it would have been so nice to fight that army head on, given the opportunity. But taking down those pylons was fairly important. The last thing he wants to do is eat like 3 overcharges because he's overstepped, over-dedicated, and gone too deep.
Well, ShoWTimE immediately places the pylons back down, so his defenses still look strong, especially with High Templars now, again, gaining energy. Nerchio's adding in a Spire to help deal with this War Prism.
Well, that's why he's going to lose the game. A War Prism got made. But he kills it, so maybe not!
Okay, well, I guess he needs a Spire.
Actually,
really, like, seriously, he doesn't need a Spire if War Prism's taken care of.
Well, you know what? Right now he doesn't, but this is something that could become a greater Spire. Hive does start up after all, and that's something that'll be really beneficial later, because you got to consider ShoWTimE, especially in the last game and the game before that. Like, it's all Immortals, it's all Storms, it's all things that are like charge lots on the ground. That's not going to deal with Broodlords. So if Nerchio can actually get to that point, I think he'll take a very favorable engagement with ShoWTimE's style of army.
Yeah. Upgrade's about to finish up for both parties. Like, really perfect here. Unfortunately, I don't think ShoWTimE expected the right side army, as he let a lot of his zealots run into those Banelings like they would want to, but still has enough beyond charge lots that Nerchio has to be very careful.
So I will go back on this as chat's going over it too. The projection thing actually wasn't that far off. The whole time though, I kept thinking like projector, like an old, like you're in study hall and they're using like the little plastic sheets to like show you the notes.
It was either that or I was thinking of like the psychology term, right?
Oh, yeah. You're projecting really hard right now. I don't know, Mom. I mean, zombie grub.
It wasn't the. That's why I googled it, to be honest, because I wasn't sure that was a word otherwise. I had such a blank moment.
I'm so glad Google is a thing for moments like that, because I've been there before. The difference is I wasn't in front of 4,000 people when it happens to me.
Oh, whatever. It's nothing.
This Hydra Concave is actually a lot of damage, but unfortunately, looks like Nerchio's still going to be too scared to take this fight. I don't blame him either walking away. I mean, he is moving towards those Broodlords, but having like 5 Broodlords in the sky means nothing if you lose all of your Hydralists to get there.
Yeah. They're both advancing on to the late game. This is usually an unfortunate thing for the Zerg, though, when the Protoss is able to match their Greater Spire, or even be a little bit ahead of the curve, with their Fleet Beacon and Stargates. That usually doesn't end up going so well for the Zerg. It's when they can get the Broodlords before the additional Stargates, before the Tempests are out, that they really get that good edge in the fight, and then they can kind of push in and deal a lot of damage. But I guess we'll hold off on talking about the late game a little bit later.
Those storms were really good.
Here, man.
The storms just tore Nerchio apart. You know, well, maybe he would have gotten away with surprise Broodlords. This is why I said keeping the Hydras alive is important. ShoWTimE is getting towards Stargate. Nerchio's pulling drones. This is end of game one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, he needed those Broodlords. It was not just this is the next step of evolution, but it was a need against ShoWTimE's army in direct engagement, and Proxima Station's a little bit more difficult to get those run-bys like we saw in Abyssal Reef.
Someone's bringing up the word telemetry in chat. What is this, Mass Effect? Calm down there. GG! ShoWTimE will be the Corsair Cup monthly champion for Season 2. This is really cool because should he accept the invite, he now has a free ride into the Season 3 monthly finals, as that is one of the benefits to winning. I do hope he'll show up for the weekly cups, though, and I hope we'll get to see some cool games out of him. But, yeah, 3-2 finish is not too shabby. So $200 for ShoWTimE, again, for a player who almost didn't even show up today, who like wanted to forfeit because he wasn't feeling so hot. $100 for Nerchio. It sucks to see him lose, but you know what? $100 is still $100. It's not too bad. And of course, I think we will probably see Nerchio in some more of the weekly cups, as he's really been owning them. Frankly, just it's been him and all him for the last couple cups.
Yeah, it has.
But that will conclude the broadcast today. I do want to talk about some things. So we originally were going to try and squeeze in some co-op here towards the end, but I think I'm a little bit tired. It's safe to say you probably are too.
No.
No? Oh, would you like to do some co-op then, Zombie Grove?
Sure.
Okay. We'll do one game of co-op, I guess, for the stream's done then. But I wanted to talk about the schedule before everybody disappeared. So first off, Dominch has done a great job of helping us band-aid the website. If you go to BaseTradeTV, there is kind of this like pseudo calendar up. But we have some things coming up, and we may even need to move some things around. So for example, I was already contemplating doing this just because we already have a crazy workload. But Total Biscuit's got Shoutcraft going down on Saturday. So we might just move the BTSL off Saturday and have a day off, which would be amazing. But also, and more importantly, give us an excuse to watch Shoutcraft.
Yeah.
So that might move, but we are casting every day. So tonight we'll be back with the Alima League. Wednesday is going to be another Corsair Cup because everything got pushed off from IEM. That'll be the first Season 3 Corsair Cup. Thursday we might have a surprise thing with the Korea House, another in-house show match maybe. Talk more on that in a minute. Friday's the BTSL monthly finals. After that monthly finals, all of the following BTSLs are actually worth $100 more thanks to Matcherino. So Saturday, Sunday, although we may be moving that Saturday. Monday's the Corsair Cup. Like we're just casting every day right up to California. And we leave on the 24th for San Jose to go for the Fremont experience, whatever. So Ting finals taking place. We know the 4 players here are going now. It's a live Stats, Gumiho, and of course Snoot. With Stats being the only player who might need to drop it, it's gonna suck because it's super last minute, but his GSL match is on the 18th. I thought it was the 15th. Regardless, we'll give him that chance to see. But yeah, that should conclude everything for the actual tournament side of it. So we'll say our goodbyes. We'll get a commercial break up, but we'll play one match of the new mutation for co-op because this one it's a really cool week actually. It's a bit of a doozy. But it is one of the contest submission winners who created this mutation, officially by Blizzard, which I think is really awesome. So, if people enjoy your casting, Zombie Grub, if they want to find more about you, where can they go?
Follow me on Twitter at ZG Gaming, on Twitch Zombie Grub, and YouTube Zombie Grub, my Patreon Zombie Grub, and you can use the Amazon links down below.
You're so stupid. You're so stupid, and I hate you.
I thought that was a rather good end. Shout out.
Nerchio should have guessed that army's trajectory better. I don't even know what to say about that.
Did you see my like line of emotions after?
Yeah.
You know, first I was trying to be clever.
You had like a meltdown.
And then I tried to force a laugh, and then I just felt bad.
All right. For me, follow me on Twitter, Riff_Kings. Follow the channel. Always come back for every broadcast that we're live. But, of course, most importantly, check out our YouTube, youtube.com/BaseTradeTV. For the sponsor side of things, obviously big love to Twitch for helping us get this extra money for the prize pool. Basically paying ShoWTimE off for today. Then, of course, we got the Corsair links down below, and I really want to drive home how important those affiliate links are because we do get money for your purchases through the Corsair website. Yeah, maybe you can find a better deal on Amazon, and if you do, hey, use our Amazon links down below. That money will go to Zombie Grub. But the Corsair links will provide affiliation links. That means anything you buy on the website through those links goes to us. So, like, let's say you click on the headset link, and then you're like, you know what, I wasn't feeling a headset. Maybe I'll get some RAM. Same deal. You just like navigate from that link to the RAM, sidestep over, boom, some extra cash for me and Zombie Grub. Corsair's happy because they're selling stuff, and you guys get quality products. But yeah, we'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks for watching.